Welcome to Swayam online program on urban local governance. In today's video, we will do a summary on all the urban local governance videos you have just seen. We will do a summary and also discuss some vital points which you should be remembering as far as urban local governance is concerned. Now, when you think about urban local governance, you should also think how the course has benefited you. First, understand what are the concepts you learned. Urban local governance is not only about governance but also the growing impact of urbanization. So, it should have some connect with you. We should remember that urban local governance is not only a course but also a life skill for you to understand and the benefits of the course. Now, understanding what a city is, how different a city is from a municipality, how a municipality is different from a town, how a town is different from a port or a cantonment or a special purpose agency area, or a town might be defined as a small unit of a city, and how the challenges of the city has to be faced. So, understanding the governance aspect is just not enough, but also understanding the terms like city, municipality, town, port, cantonment. And also the question might come on the value or the importance of the city, the municipality, the town, the port or the cantonment. How different it is going to be. What is the impact you can create on a city, on a municipality, on a town, port or a cantonment. Port, you can understand that it should be near the seaside. So, the trade could be one of the important aspects of incurring money or finance. Whereas in the city, there could be many opportunities and many challenges at the same time. The difference between a city and a municipality. A city could be a higher version of the municipality. And what are the challenges a person could face being in the city or being in a municipality? And what is the concept of town? Now, if you see in most of the Western countries, the concept of township is becoming great. Now, if you see in India, you see companies like the Tatas having township concept. If you go to smaller units, you see that township is very famous, practically very attractive, especially near institutions. And they expand the institution as well as the town so that the people are benefited because of the institution. They can work in the institution at the same time. The township concept is also having a social interrelationship between the society in the town itself. The Tatas is a standing example because if you see near the steel industry, they have the township concept. And so, people need not travel to far off places. They have their own education system, they have their own practices, and invariably children going to the same organization. So, this can bring in more loyalty as far as town concept is concerned, and also a cooperative society can be easily be established. So, the township concept is a growing concept. The city has its own challenges. A cantonment is usually close to the directorate. It could be army cantonment for having as a storage, or it would be more for logistics of the army or the military purpose, and also it should benefit the students. So, you can identify yourself. Are you living in a city? Are you living in a municipality? Are you living in a town? Are you living in a port or a cantonment? And what are the benefits you can expect living in these areas? Also, you should know that how you can apply on what you learn on urban local government to the city, to the municipality, to the town, to the port and the cantonment. It will also create awareness from what you have understood. from the learning of the course, awareness about the city, awareness of the municipality, awareness about the town, the port and the cantonment. And also you are answerable because you are responsible citizens. You can't say that this is just for writing an exam, it is for application purpose. What are the solutions you can provide? What is the remedy you can do to contribute to protect your city, to municipality, to your town, to your port or cantonment? Do they have proper sustainable practices? Do you have solid waste management practices? Is it pollution free? If you take like Ranipet, I would say a town, in between a town and a city, it is a district, I would say. And there you see that there are a lot of industries. And what is the affluent society? It could cause diseases, lung problems. So what are the precautions you can do? What are the contribution as a civic society you can do to protect your society from pollution? You can add on your creativity by learning these concepts. And what is your contribution to the society? Just understanding and learning a course is not enough, but it is for application purpose. It is instigate and also create ideas to protect yourself and the people around you, the society around you. Your contribution should be not only just stopping with learning, but also in the application part. Maybe you can practice a solid waste management system in your own apartment or in your own living space. You can also have a practice of engaging people because mental health is a concern. You can have a practice of giving company or counseling elderly people, or also have some pet training systems so that you can help the society or you can help a neighbor. Sustainability is an in thing, it's a concern, especially with water, with environment. When cities you're talking, there's always a concern of space. You can think about vertical gardening. You can recommend within your spaces so that you can contribute to the place around you. So if you want to understand the concept of urban local governance, you can actually list out what is your role in the city or in the town which you are living in. You need to find yourself, because understanding the rights, understanding the process, understanding the challenges, you need to know that there is a possibility for having a sustainable life. You can also help others to know their rights. And as students of urban local governance and also students of public administration, you can know that and understand that understanding the concept is just not enough, but also creating awareness and advocacy on urban local governance will help, because you know that public administration is a detailed systematic application of law. It's a government in practice, and you are one of the stakeholders for such policies because you know how it can be interpreted. So place yourself and see where you exist in this society, especially if you are in an urban living. If you are coming from a rural area also, you can understand what are the challenges a rural person face when you are in an urban environment. So if you talk about evolution of local governance in India, in one of the videos we did in 2 parts, understanding the evolution during the ancient period, what a textbook says in Mahabharata, the Upanishads, and how the Mughal period, the Arthashastra, and also the Gupta period, the Shah Suri administration contributed to local governance. Eventually, we succumbed to the British colonial period, and how and what were the benefits of local government, how it is transformed from a period of Panchayat Raj to a dual system of Panchayat Raj as well as urban local governance. So you have a Panchayat Raj system and a municipality system, 2 concepts evolved. And here we are defining the concept of urban local governance. Urban local governance might not look as severe or as huge as other scientific understanding, but it is an important study because you should know your role in the society as far as urban local governance is concerned, and what can your contribution be. It could be positive because of the growing need, because of the growing population, because of the growing unemployment issues. So it is important to understand and decipher what is relevant to the youth, to the unemployed, to the people who are coming with high dreams and hopes to the city and towns to live, to learn, to earn, and to sustain with a livelihood. So evolution of local governance gave you an insight on how the Panchayati Raj system transformed and was constitutionally enshrined finally by the P.V. Narasimha Rao government. And what are the contributions of various committees in evolving the local government in India, from transforming from a police state to a welfare state. So defining urbanization, its trends and its features was one of the videos. So you need to also understand what is urbanization. Is urbanization different from rural areas? Is it different from a village? What are the trends in urbanization? How do we cope up with urbanization? What are the transformations that you see? What is the role of politics? What is the role of social system? One can see the influence and the challenges of the Western world, especially in India, in urbanization, and whether the challenges can be met or it can be countered by efficiently using a system where you can create a society which is a sustainable society. We need not be influenced by the West. We can sustain, but also take the good things about the West and implement it. Because now if you see, India is in focus for not only its social system, but also with economic value because of its family system, hospitality, and also the ecosystem and the environmental practices and the cultural practices which we have traditionally passed on. Has urbanization lost it, or has it regained or sustained those practices? We saw in recent times that the pandemic has influenced our traditions. It has got back our traditions. It also brought back certain social cultures like using the turmeric, using certain products, organic products, and also introduce the concept of organic living even if you are in the city. No longer we think of just processed food, but we are also thinking of having a small garden within the small space of the society or city, and having learning our tradition and using it effectively in an urban area is something which we have learned after the pandemic. What are the features of urbanization? If you see, there are certain functional features of urbanization because we are coming up with the concept of smart city, a green city, smart city with all the infrastructure available, whether it is easy. Now, if you see that urbanization is countered with counter urbanization, what is that? Is to have people from the rural areas not moving into the city because the cities are becoming overpopulated. So that's why the concept of town came up, the concept of cantonment, so that they can live and sustain within the society rather than moving. No longer the practice of nomadism is there, where you move from one place to another. So urbanization is trying to control and also curtail the practices of just migrant or a transition society, but have a sustainable society which is evolutionary, which is also creating a sustainable habitat, so that the society is not transitional. It is moving from one place to another. No, Urbanization is sustaining and giving life and the hopes of the people. So we understand the concept of urbanization, its features, and what are the challenges. Now, if you look into the video of issues and challenges, you would have studied that there are a lot of issues and challenges of urbanization. You have the environment. Now, if you take environment alone, the concept is not an easy concept, because you're talking about an environment in a city where it is a cluster of buildings. Someone had remarked very humorously that it is a concrete jungle. So you see less of trees and more of buildings. And no longer people use bricks, because bricks usually cool the houses. They use concrete blocks and high-rise building, stopping the air movement. So you can see the concept of bringing air conditions and refrigerators and all the modern equipment within a living space, even if there is less ventilation. So the challenges of environment is not something which we can just shun it aside, but we have to take it carefully, because we need to understand that we need the oxygen. We see that people in the urban areas have a lot of issues of pollution, lung infections, asthma. It's because of the pollution of ever-growing development programs. On one side you see development programs, another side you see that this is also causing health hazards. Is urbanization prepared for that? Is urbanization prepared for disaster management? The other problem is the overpopulation. Crowding is becoming a thing. Now, if you take big cities like Tokyo, you take big cities like Mumbai, you take a city New York, you take city London, you take a city Kolkata or Chennai, you see that it is highly populated. It is becoming a place, populated area is because of the growing needs of employment. Saving space and making it more effective, space management, which should be understood. Whereas in the rural areas you don't have the overpopulation, because people are moving from rural areas to urban cities, and most of them are going homeless. It was very surprising to see in one of the shows that Singapore was facing problems of homelessness. Although it's one of the most beautiful city, well equipped city, but how prepared are they for urbanization? Is a question you need to ask. Learning the concept, learning the challenges, and also seeing the challenges around your environment, whether it matches what the course tells you about population. What do we do about population? Whether we can use it effectively, or is it something which will be an ongoing challenge? Although we see that human resource management is a concept which is positive as far as population is concerned, but is the population used constructively as far as India is concerned, or as far as China is concerned? It's negating them will be a solution, or providing an effective measure or remedy for using the population effectively. We know that very soon India will be the youngest citizens around the world, and will be the most productive population, because being the youngest generation will also be effectively productive. But the challenges are not just met with population demands, but also productive population, whether they have employment, whether they have entrepreneurship skills, whether they can use it usefully. So, employment is a concern, and whether education matches employment. You see that in the recent time, when our advertisement came for the Corporation for Workers, and it was realized that many graduates and engineers had applied for the lowest category of jobs because the employment is minimum. And it's because it's a government job, irrespective of the position they were willing to take, even though they were not trained for that purpose. Engineers are meant to do work for engineering line. A graduate in science is supposed to do in something pertaining to science or an arts, but it's not, I would say, would be tangential. It is very different. Your job is not matching your education line. That's the biggest challenge. So, after your education, what next is a question you ask. In urbanization, education and employment is a concern. Whether the education is effectively used for your employment. Similarly, when you learn about urbanization, you should also understand that you need to take these concerns and challenges seriously, so that you can effectively try and protect yourself and the people around you against these challenges. And how do you face it and also overcome these challenges? Pollution and health is a major challenge as far as urbanization is concerned. It is very heartening to see that the higher up the story in an apartment, the higher the price. But also you realize that you are contributing to pollution. If you think if one of the technology is not working, if there is no electricity say for a day, then the whole system goes down, because urbanization is highly dependent on technology, highly dependent on external factors. Now, we cannot be without an AC for a long time. It's because the heat is radiated because the number of ACs which are used. So, we talk about the concept of climate change and also the concept of problem of health hazards. As I already mentioned, there could be problems of asthma and other lifestyle problems like diabetes or your blood pressure. So, understanding urbanization, understanding your city, understanding your city is also an important aspect as far as urbanization is concerned. Even if you think that you are not living in an urban area, you need to know that one day or the other you might have to go to the city nearby for your papers to be transferred or your papers to be changed or to recognize or register. So, it is understandable that you need to learn about the cultural aspects. Is important and eminent to understand the concept of urbanization. We also learned in one of the videos how the evolution and the challenges has contributed to urbanization, but also we understand the rights of the 74th Constitutional Amendment. The Constitutional Amendment has empowered urban areas. It was important to have local bodies, political bodies as far as urbanization is concerned. We might think that the government can directly rule us. We don't need decentralization. But decentralization in a democratic way is essential, be it in the rural areas or urban areas. Why have you ever asked the question? When you ask the question, you will realize the 74th Constitutional Amendment Act. The 74th Constitutional Amendment Act will realize that there are so many rights, and also these rights will empower you, will give you more provisions for a better livelihood, will give you more policy programs. There are more scholarships, more sponsorships. How effectively you can realize. Now, urban local bodies will also recognize the challenges of that particular area. Now, if you take the media for example, the fourth pillar of democracy, you will realize that there are so many big papers like the Hindu, the Indian Express, the Times of India, but there are also local papers. If you take in that small particular area, there is a local paper. Why? To bring out the challenges of infrastructure. Then how else will people or the government will realize that you have a problem in your particular area, because one area can be different from the other area. If the locality is surrounded with political figures, then maybe the facility will be much better. But the locality is not well provided or impoverished, or if it is not up to the mark, then you will realize that there are other issues. When the rains come down in Chennai, then you realize that there are other issues of maintaining the drainage and the sanitation system. It was really humorous to see cities in Italy and Spain having issues of flooding, when we thought that the Indian cities were only getting flooded because we don't have a proper system. But then, because of lack of rain, the big countries like Italy and Spain were also having issues of flooding, and places in California and in American cities, it was getting flooded is because of lack of foresight and preparedness. It is important that disaster management system should be always and ever ready, even if they don't have floods or earthquakes. They should be always prepared. So urbanization should counter these issues. And if you see the 74th Constitutional Amendment, it was necessary to understand that you should have urban local bodies, political awareness, social system to unite the people and have a proper society. Now, if you see till now, we have summarized the need for studying this course, which will help you in your future and also to practically apply in your day-to-day life, not only for your application but also for your remedy, so that you can face and challenge the problems which you are facing very effectively and bring in remedies and solutions to the problem of urbanization. Thank you.